Right now, as the start of winter officially approaches, we're showing you ways to save on your heating bill.
And we are hearing from a Wisconsin senator who's speaking out in support of President Trump as impeachment hearings continue.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for joining us on your Monday, November 18th. I'm Leah Lynchide.
And I'm Josh Breiter. Meteorologist Chris Reese up and early with us. Up in and early. I can't even talk. It's a Monday. Patty's off today. Chris is here, and kind of cloudy you're bringing today.
It is cloudy. I don't know if we're talking about the sky or my brain, but it's certainly cloudy as we go.
We need some sun, morning. Chris. We need it.
We'll try to get some sunshine in this week. We've got more coffee.
I should have coffee in my mug instead of water.
I need some coffee or something. Let's go ahead and show you all the maps this morning. This is high-resolution Doppler of the area. Things are all dry after we did see some areas of snow that came through yesterday. There's one spot with some flurries. That's mainly over towards the east near Whitewater. That's now moving out of the area. I don't expect any big deals with that at all. For the most part, high-resolution Doppler will get to relax today. I hope it enjoys it because in about 72 hours, we'll probably be tracking some rainfall through for the morning commute. Temperature-wise, headed out the door, it is the 30s. For a lot of us, they've dropped just a little bit just towards the west, but even still, 34 seems to be the main number on the map. That's our temperature in Madison. Winds coming out of the northwest at 5 miles per hour. So once you get a breeze, the wind chill is 30. But folks, as we plan your day, clouds stick around, will warm up into the upper 30s and eventually come up just shy of 40 for that afternoon high. We're watching traffic this morning as folks begin to hit the road. This is the Beltline at John Nolan this morning. Roads are still damp after the snow yesterday, but they're starting to dry up just a little bit, so be mindful of that. So far, no big issue showing up. Of course, at the Stoughton Road interchange where the traffic lights are, you always have that little area of the red and yellow. But so far, I think the traffic is smooth.
I know, I was bummed. I went and washed the car on Saturday, and then I kept it in the garage all weekend, and then it got dirty out this morning.
Rookie mistake, Josh. You have my number, but all right.
It was so salty from last week that I just needed to get it done.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm getting mine washed today. I was texting my car dealer about my car because he was asking, and I was like, it's dirty, and he was like, bring it in for a wash.
There you go.
So, it's not going to last, you guys.
Get her done. I know, but you have to get that salt off. It's bad for your car. All right, Chris, thank you.
My pleasure.
First this morning, we are following breaking news overnight. At least 4 people are dead after a mass shooting at a football viewing party. It happened in Fresno, California. Police say friends and family were in the backyard of a home watching the game when someone snuck in and fired into the crowd. At least 10 were shot. The total number of deaths hasn't been released. No one is under arrest as of this morning. More local news now. Keeping your house warm during the colder months isn't exactly cheap.
In fact, the U.S. Energy Department says the average family spends more than $2,000 a year on utility bills. Before you crank up the heat, Keely Arthur joins us live with some energy-saving advice. Keely, good morning.
Good morning, Josh and Leah. That is right. It is only mid-November, but if the weather we saw at the end of October and then into the beginning of this month is any indication, this winter is not only going to be cold, it's going to be long. And that's why it's important to make any little adjustments that you can to cut down on your energy bill. Experts first say to take your thermostat and put it at 68 degrees when you are home and then 55 degrees when you are away or when you are sleeping. I know that sounds a little chilly, but it will bring you really big savings. Experts at Madison Gas and Electric say when you lower your thermostat by just 1 degree, you save 1%. They also say the average heating bill last year was about $450 in our area. That's, of course, if you use natural gas. It can be much higher if you are heating your home with electric energy. Now, if you do decide to lower the temperature by a few degrees and think you'll offset it with a space heater, Leah Sampson at MG&E says think again. It's more wasteful than you realize, and there are some better options.
There's like 12,000 people in our community that aren't taking advantage of it that could. And so we try to get out in the community and share that because we really want people to participate.
There is also something called the budget plan. While it doesn't reduce the cost of your bill overall, it's averaged amount per month, so you're going to see a fixed price each month. At the end of the year, you'll pay whatever wasn't covered, or in some cases, you'll get money back. And not to make this about me, but that's what I use, and it makes things really easy. And a few other quick tips before I let you go. You can turn your fridge to 38 degrees and then your freezer to 5 degrees. Experts say that's going to make your appliances run a little bit more smoothly and make them not work so hard. There's also something like this. It's called a window kit. It's basically plastic wrap, and then you use a hair dryer to kind of seal it shut. The goal of this is to keep all that cold air out of your house and then keep all the warm air in, which is where we want it. And I'll send it back to you too.
Some advice I didn't know about. That's some good stuff. Keely Arthur, thank you very much.
Right now, a local teen with 9 open court cases is in the system, and he's due in court tomorrow. 17-year-old DeMonte Tillman is facing counts of theft, burglary, criminal damage to property, hit and run, bail jumping, and stealing a car. He managed to get out of jail on a signature bond each time he was arrested up until his most recent arrest 2 weeks ago. His preliminary hearing is set for 9 tomorrow morning.
In Rock County, police are still looking for at least one suspect after a fatal shooting that killed a 34-year-old man. Police say he was shot and killed less than 2 miles north of Beloit College just before 4 Saturday morning. This is that city's second murder in less than a month.
Looking ahead to December, the Rock County Board will revisit the idea of having armed security guards at the courthouse. The board's General Services Committee tabled the idea in February. The Janesville Gazette reports for the most part, county leaders say arming security guards is the right move, though they're not yet sure who's going to provide the guards. The Rock County Sheriff says adding armed guards to the recent security upgrades at the courthouse would be another important step forward.
A Wisconsin lawmaker is making headlines for his comments on the ongoing impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Senator Ron Johnson returned to Meet the Press just a few weeks after arguing with host Chuck Todd on that same program. In this weekend's interview, Senator Johnson suggests the whistleblower complaint is causing harm.
This would have been far better off if we would have just taken care of this behind the scenes. If this never would have been exposed, that funding would have been restored, and our relationship with Ukraine would be far better off than it is today.
Again, you seem to say that you seem to blame this on everybody but the president. It was the president's actions.
I'm not blaming anybody, Chuck.
Senator Johnson also says he's sympathetic with President Trump, arguing the president has been, quote, tormented since his election.
Meanwhile, more public hearings are scheduled for tomorrow as part of that ongoing impeachment inquiry. 8 witnesses are slated to appear over 3 days. The list includes EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland, whose previous testimony has been placed at the center of many of the events being scrutinized. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says there could be more interviews during the week of Thanksgiving, and another round of hearings could follow before the House votes on whether to impeach.
President Trump's visit to Walter Reed Hospital this weekend is raising some questions. A source familiar with the Saturday visit says it didn't follow the protocol of a routine presidential medical exam. In an unannounced visit, the 73-year-old president went to the military medical center without notifying staff ahead of time. The White House says President Trump is in good health and that this was a routine checkup as part of his annual physical. However, the president already had a physical earlier this year, back in February.
Joint military drills between the U.S. and South Korea are postponed for later this month.
The U.S. Defense Secretary calls it an act of goodwill toward North Korea. This comes as Japan's defense minister, whose country feels threatened by repeated North Korean missile launches, says no one should be optimistic about changing North Korea's behavior. Politico reports the U.S. military has traditionally called the joint exercises with South Korea an important means to keep troops ready for combat on short notice. But President Trump calls them a waste of money to the North. More local news now. Madison school leaders want to know what you think about adding a new elementary to the district. They're talking about asking taxpayers to fund that new elementary, along with renovations to the 4 main high schools in an upcoming referendum. The district held an informational meeting last night where school officials said there has never been an elementary south of the Beltline. The group Eastside Progressives facilitated the meeting and pointed out that referendum would add $400 in property taxes to the average homeowner.
I think it's really important that we understand that the kids here are our future in this community, and But we also have to think about the senior citizens. Rents are very, very high in this community. And so if people have to leave their homes, can they even afford a decent apartment, for example?
The $25 million project would build the new school in the Rimrock neighborhood. The district will continue holding these community meetings before it makes a decision on whether to put the referendum on next year's November ballot.
The Wisconsin State Patrol hopes some of the changes they're making will encourage more people to join their team. Right now, applicants interested in becoming a state trooper only need a GED to apply. Once they're hired, new officers can take up to 5 years to earn an associate's degree or 60 college credits. One state trooper says the job isn't like the others in law enforcement.
We're not necessarily going out there responding to a domestic or a certain call after it already happened. We're going out there and stopping vehicles before something happens in hopes of preventing accidents or, certain incidences.
The State Patrol's Wausau post is having an open house today from 4 to 7. You can meet troopers, canines, and also a drone pilot. Applications are due by January 12th.
All right, 6:10 on your Monday. Still ahead, a new bill would change how schools allow exemptions from vaccinations, and that could impact the safety of your students.
We'll have the latest on that coming up. And first, rising temperatures could create some slick spots on the road this morning as snow and ice melts. Chris Reese will have the first alert on weather and traffic for your morning commute. Keep watching News 3 Now this morning.
Well, good Monday morning, folks. We are waking up to a quiet morning after we saw some of the sleet and the rain and the snow that came down yesterday evening. This is the Madison Metro right now. High-resolution Doppler free. of all of the precipitation, giving us a clean sweep in Madison, also a clean sweep as you work your way down towards Janesville and Beloit as well. This is going to be pretty much what we see as we go throughout the day, but I do still think we're going to see cloud cover as we go throughout the day as well. Here's the last 12 hours just showing you that snow as it moved on out of town. Notice that we're drying out on the western side of that. In addition to drying out, we are going to turn milder as we go through the week ahead as well. But clouds will continue to dominate the sky, and sometimes clouds lead to rain, and that's what I think is going to happen as we get you towards the middle part of the week. Let's focus on the temperatures, though, as you begin to head out the door. We're at 34 in Madison. Same for our friends at Janesville. Mineral Point also at 34. That's the temperature in Boscobel and La Crosse as well. Viroqua is one of the cooler spots. That's where the temperature is at 31 this morning. Folks, as you head out the door, of course, you're going to want a jacket, but might I also encourage you to pick up the boots. That's because there's a little bit of slush on the ground, even though temperatures are above freezing, and well, it's just a little slick. I almost took a tumble earlier on this morning. So grab some boots in preparation for that. Here's how things go as we go through the rest of the day. The clouds stick around. Again, I don't suspect anything to fall out of the sky. 38 by the time you get you towards lunch. We'll warm up towards 39. I do think some areas might have a shot at seeing 40 for that high today. Temperatures are at 34 by the time you get you towards dinner. Then we pay attention to what's moving in overnight tonight. This could be a little round of a rain-snow mix that comes through towards tomorrow morning. I don't suspect much out of that, but that may also create a little layer of slickness like we had this morning on top of the cars and sidewalks, so be mindful of that. But tomorrow is the day, and the day that I think a lot of folks have been waiting for, because we begin a pretty substantial warm-up. 42 for the high on Tuesday, perhaps 45 or 46 by the time we get you over towards Wednesday. So things are certainly going to warm up, but we've had the cloud cover around pretty much throughout all of this run of Future Track. With that cloud cover does come the milder air, though, into Wednesday. We'll get a little bit of a cool down for the weekend, and then another warm up for earlier on next week. Now, with milder air, as I mentioned, does come more moisture, and that's why we're paying attention to a rain event as we head into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. And it's going to be a cold rain. Pay attention to that snow on the northwestern side. It will stay to our north and west, but it's close. We're talking temperatures 33, 34 degrees and rain coming down. So Thursday morning will certainly be miserable and wet, but make sure that you have the jackets and plan yourself some extra time in case you run into any slick spots. But as we go forward from there, we begin to dry out. Here we are, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's a lot of days that I get to mention sunshine as we go through your forecast. If you are not traveling, I'll tell you what, that's a peak period to maybe put up some Christmas decorations or do some yard work or whatever it is you need to do. The day before Thanksgiving, we are tracking a chance of rain and snow. Of course, we'll keep you guys up to date on that. In the meantime, let's head over to Jason Stone with your first alert traffic. Jason? All right, no Jason this morning. Here's how things are looking for us. We are all green on the area roadways this morning. So far, we are starting to see your typical backups that you see over at the Stoughton Road interchange. Otherwise, as we look throughout Dane County, things do remain all smooth. Be careful in the construction zones per normal. Let's head downtown right now. We're seeing a couple of brake lights show up as you approach Capitol Square, but for the most part, all routes are cruising along at their posted speeds with no crashes or delays.
Thank you very much, Chris. All right, we have another first alert traffic note for you as you head out the door. The Merrimack Ferry is closing for the season in just a couple of hours now. The state's only free ferry runs 24/7 from April to November, but the last trip across the lake will be at 9 this morning. So just a few more hours to take advantage.
New this morning, the lettuce you use on your salad and in your sandwich could be coming from an indoor farm on the south side of Chicago. Gotham Green operates out of 2 greenhouses, allowing the company to more than double its Chicago production while allowing Gotham Greens to serve us here in Wisconsin and other places across the Midwest. Growing produce indoors is becoming increasingly popular since it's not weather dependent and as consumers increasingly look for local pesticide-free foods.
Some Wisconsin communities are urging lawmakers to consider a bill that would eliminate a popular waiver for vaccines. Wisconsin Public Radio reports that proposal would end the personal conviction waiver for vaccines needed in places like schools, childcare centers, and nurseries. Many health organizations are supporting the bill, but there's considerable pushback from some groups citing parental choice. The World Health Organization says at least 93% of the population needs to be vaccinated to reach herd immunity.
Doctors hope a new study gives parents more reassurance that the HPV vaccine is safe. HPV is very common, with around 14 million people getting infected with the sexually transmitted virus each year. Those infections can lead to cancers later in life for both men and women. New research shows the vaccine can prevent about 92% of HPV-related cancers, but right now only about half of today's adolescents are getting it. It's recommended girls and boys get 2 doses at 11 to 12 years old. A 3rd dose is necessary if you start the vaccine over age 15. 6:20 is your time. Still ahead for us, one of the oldest gaming stores in Madison has closed its doors. We're showing you how the community is keeping its memory alive.
And Chris Reese has a balmy Monday in store, relatively. He's in telling us when we're getting that second chance at fall temperatures next on News 3 Now this morning. Welcome back on your Monday morning. You're waking up to a pretty decent, balmy Monday out there, huh?
Balmy, if you will.
My new
Temperatures
word.
are in the mid-30s. How about that one? Instead of starting out in the upper 20s or the lower 30s, we are in the mid-30s this morning, although some areas are still just a little bit cooler. 34 for Lone Rock and Boscobel. 33 as you work your way down towards Monroe. Janesville also at 34. That's where we find our temperature right here in Madison also. We're going to see clouds continue to dominate the sky as we go through the day. That means temperatures stay just a smidge cooler, but will warm up towards 38, 39. I do think some areas might actually hit the 40-degree mark, and this is only just the beginning of some warmer temperatures that are going to be coming our direction as we go through the week. We do stay quiet, though. Here's the cloud cover that's moving on in yet again, but there's no rain or snow that we need to be concerned about. You've got some flurries throughout southeastern Minnesota and northern Iowa. I think that runs into drier air by the time it gets towards Wisconsin. So again, we stay dry today. Folks headed to the bus stop, grab a jacket. You'll have those temperatures right around 33 degrees. Lunchtime will be at 38. By the time you begin to head home from the bus stop, that's when we'll see those temperatures right around 39. Guys?
Thank you very much, Chris. The oldest game store in our area is now closed, but the local gaming community plans to keep its memory alive. A group of friends opened Pegasus Games in downtown Madison back in 1980. Since then, the store has moved to a couple of different locations before ending up on the west side. It's not the games that the loyal customers and staff will miss the most. It's the community of gamers the store has built around Madison.
It was always a warm atmosphere that welcomed everybody. And I think that's, as you can see, it has attracted a vast horde of Madison gamers.
We brought something to Madison that means something to the folks in the gaming community.
Pegasus Games officially closed yesterday after serving the community for nearly 30 years.
Dozens of students in the UW system are becoming athletes thanks to a newly formed team at UW-Stevens Point. Students from the university as well as the area high school are hoping to join the ranks of the UWSP esports team. The team's faculty supervisor says with the growing trend of esports and more people finding celebrity playing video games, joining the team can be a lucrative opportunity.
There's large cash prizes, there's bragging rights, there's sponsorship opportunities that come along with being a champion.
Once the team gathers new recruits from these tryouts, their next goal is to be able to travel and compete with other schools, teams, as this kind of gaming continues to grow.
All right, 6:26, still ahead. We have the top 3 things you need to know as you head out the door on your Monday.
And we'll show you the best ways to save on your energy bill when those freezing temps return. You're watching News 3 Now this morning. We thank you for that, and we'll be right back.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for staying with us on this Monday, November 18th. I'm Leah Lynchide.
And I'm Josh Breiter. Meteorologist Chris Reese is in for Hattie, and he's talking some clouds for you on Monday. But first, the top 3 things you need to know today. Breaking news overnight, at least 4 people are dead after a mass shooting at a football viewing party. Police say that friends and family were in the backyard of a home in Fresno, California, watching a game when an unknown suspect snuck into the crowd and fired. At least 10 people were shot, with several found dead. The total number of deaths hasn't been released, and no one has been arrested.
The second story we're following this morning, the House impeachment inquiry will continue this week, with more public hearings scheduled for tomorrow. 8 witnesses, including EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland, are set to appear over 3 days. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says there could be more witness interviews during the week of Thanksgiving, and another round of hearings could follow before the House votes on whether to impeach.
A new school could be added under a school district referendum. The Madison School District is talking about asking taxpayers to fund the new elementary along with renovations to the 4 main high schools in an upcoming referendum. That referendum would add $400 in property taxes to the average homeowner. The $25 million project would build the new school in the Rimrock neighborhood.
That's your top 3. Chris is here now with our Monday forecast. Hey, Chris.
Good morning, folks. The top 3 things you need to know in terms of the weather this week is, well, first of all, we are turning milder in the week ahead. Clouds will dominate the sky, and by the time we get you towards the middle of the week, folks, we could have a soggy looking forecast. But as you head out the door this morning, grab a jacket. It's in the 30s. Might I also suggest a couple of boots for the slush that we do have on the ground. Temperatures will warm up from the low 30s into the upper 30s by the time we get you towards the afternoon. 34 is that temperature right now in Madison, same for Janesville, Lone Rock, Mineral Point, and Boscobel, even Wautoma coming in at 34. So there are a lot of folks with that number out there. Doppler track, though, after the snow came to an end yesterday, remains mainly free of any kind of rain or snow for us. So as we go throughout the morning, temperatures make it into the upper 30s by lunch. There may be some patchy fog in spots by the afternoon. 39 for that high. We'll stay mostly cloudy, but we will remain indeed quiet.
All right, thank you very much, Chris. We are following some breaking news into the Channel 3000 Alert Center within the last few minutes here. Multiple units are responding to an electrical pole fire in Stoughton. No injuries or road closures have been reported as of now. Now, of course, the story is still developing. We will bring you the very latest right here on News 3 Now and over on Channel3000.com. More local news this morning. We are experiencing slightly warmer temperatures, but there's certainly still a chill in the air.
Yeah, before you crank up the heat in your home, Keely Arthur is live with some energy-saving advice. Good morning, Keely.
Good morning, Josh and Leah. Yes, it's only mid-November, but if the weather we have seen at the end of October and then into this month is any indication, this winter is not only going to be cold, it's going to be long. And that's why it's important to make those small adjustments so you can keep your energy bill down. Experts say to set your home at 68 degrees when you are here, and then all the way down actually to 55 when you are away or even when you are sleeping. I know that might sound a little chilly, but it will bring you some big savings. Experts at Madison Gas and Electric say when you lower your thermostat by 1 degree, you save 1%. They also said the average heating bill last year was about $450 in this area. Now that's if you use natural gas. It can be much higher if you're heating your home with electric heat. Now if you decide to lower the temperature by a few degrees and think you'll offset that with a space heater, think again. It's actually kind of wasteful, and there are some better options.
If you're cold and you have your thermostat set down, put on an electric blanket, because then you're heating your person instead of a whole room. An electric blanket will use a fraction of the energy.
There are some actions you can take to manage your bill also. MG&E has an income-based program called Energy Assistance that helps cover the cost of paying your heating bill. And there's also something called the budget plan. While it doesn't reduce the cost of your utilities, it averages it out per month so you have a consistent monthly bill, no surprises, which is always really helpful. That's actually something that I use. A few extra tips. Experts say to set your fridge at 68 degrees, or 38 degrees rather, set your thermostat at 68, and then 5 degrees for your freezer. Finally, there is something called a window kit. It's basically plastic wrap that you can seal over your windows using a hair dryer, and that way the air is going to stay outside and keeping all that warm air in, which is exactly where we want it. Leah and Josh.
Advice we will certainly be using over the next couple of months. Thank you very much, Keely.
Time right now is 6:34. Dane County is now part of a county climate coalition, reaffirming the city's commitment to the Paris Climate Agreement. As part of the coalition, Dane County agrees to strategies aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions while collaborating with other counties across the U.S. This comes just a month after Governor Evers created a task force to develop strategies to deal with climate change in the state. President Trump recently withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement.
Around the state, kids are learning about sustainability through interactive activities. The Children's Museum in La Crosse is showing kids how to plant seeds, compost, and more. The goal is to get kids engaged with sustainable practices early, encouraging small and simple acts that add up to make a big difference. All right, 6:35 your time now. Coming up in the morning sprint, we have a first alert traffic note for the end of a ferries season.
And we're showing you how a library is reaching out to break stereotypes and educate their community's youth. This is News 3 Now this morning. .639, we've been asking you to share your morning with us, and Janet from Janesville sent us this picture, and she's asking, Leah, can you spot the farm?
So when I first saw this picture, Janet, I was so excited because it's beautiful, so much frost in there. I did not notice the farm
You can just see the little silos in the background, bottom middle of the picture.
Gosh, what a beautiful photo.
That is a beautiful photo. I do love this time of the year because everything is so picturesque.
Janet, I hope you took this while you were inside.
Me too.
Oh my goodness, thanks for sharing.
If you've got a photo of your morning you'd like to share with us, all you have to do is use the hashtag MyNews3Morning and send it to us on Facebook.
A program is teaching our children about the importance of diversity and understanding the culture of Indigenous peoples. November is Native American Heritage Month, and the La Crosse County Library System is hosting programs to honor traditions and educate kids. Special guest and professional storyteller Deborah Morningstar shared an interactive presentation with the kids, including ancient songs and stories. Morningstar also brought her traveling museum, which gives kids a chance to interact with cultural items.
This is an important event to really celebrate the diversity and the rich cultural heritage, not only of our place in La Crosse, but in the broader state and throughout the nation and the world.
The library system also hosted an event for adults discussing the dangers of Native American stereotypes depicted in movies and on TV.
We're excited to introduce you to another one of our BU ambassadors, someone who's encouraging teenagers to be exactly who they are through kindness. Betty Kruger retired 4 years ago, but decided she couldn't stay away from the students she helped. So she started supervising the high school lunchroom, volunteering at after-school sporting events, teaching the 4-H club projects, crocheting for the needy, and baking cookies for her kids, who clearly notice how special she is.
You've been family to us. And she said, I want to carry on your legacy of doing things. I said, okay, hon, go ahead. Hope you do. But I said, you don't have to wait till my funeral.
Be like Betty, huh?
I love that.
We'll tell you about the special relationship Betty Kruger has with the kids and the special name she's earned. That's tonight at 10. In the meantime, check out more stories about our BU effort over on channel3000.com/timeforkids.
Thinking we can all learn a couple of lessons from Betty.
For sure. All right, well, we are thawing out a little bit heading into this week. Chris says we're going to be getting back into the 40s. Ooh. There we go. Some good news there. His extended forecast is coming up.
But first, if you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, please let us know. We would love to share their picture on TV. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning.
Good Monday morning, folks. Things are going to be quiet for us today, but some of us may want to give at least a little bit of time to scrape off the window, or shall I say, give it a quick brush anyway. If you have not been out to your car since last night, there may be a little layer of melting slush on top of the windows. I think a quick brush is all you're going to need just to throw that on off. In the meantime, temperatures end up being mild enough for a lot of that to melt. Here's radar showing you what did come through over the past 12 hours as a lot of that began to move away. Since then, we have had the ability to truly begin to dry out. So as you're waking up in Madison Metro this morning, things are quiet and things are calm for us. That's what we can expect pretty much anywhere. Wanakee, Sun Prairie, Cottage Grove, things are going to be calm. Same for our friends down towards Evansville or Beloit. Things are going to be calm for you guys as well. So an easy morning there. Just give yourself, again, that extra moment that it may take to give that car a quick brush. As we go through the rest of the week, folks, we do turn milder, but with the milder air, it is still the upper Midwest for this time of the year. So clouds are going to dominate the sky for a few days, and then eventually we could turn soggy by the time you get towards the middle part of this week. Those are the main things that I'm watching as we go through the next couple of days. So let's start with the temperatures. As you begin to head out the door, we are above freezing in most spots. Some areas are still below 31 in the Dells. Same for Viroqua. We're at 34 in Madison and Janesville right now. Here's how temperatures respond going through the rest of the day. Lunchtime, we'll see those temperatures right around 38 degrees for us. We'll keep the clouds around. We'll warm up towards 39 for your high today. Clouds still in the sky at this point. As we head towards dinner, we begin to fall back through the 30s at that point, and that's going to be crucial to what we see overnight. We'll see a little mix of rain and snow starting to arrive from the west just after midnight. We get you towards 5 o'clock in the morning. Depending on where those temperatures are, this could either be rain and sleet or more so of a sleet and snow mix. I'm erring on the colder side of this right now, but that will be a very minor system that'll come through towards tomorrow morning. Again, you may need another quick brush then, but by the time we get you towards Tuesday afternoon, 40s do return into the pictures. So that is going to be a very welcome sight for us. And by the way, when can you hang your Christmas lights? I know a lot of folks want to get that done before the Thanksgiving holidays just because you've got to travel, and around here the weather tends to get a lot colder right after Thanksgiving. If you can do it now, do it now. Yes, things are going to be damp, but I think we're going to see good weather as we go through the week ahead, as those temperatures especially begin to warm up into the mid-40s. The warmest day of the week is Wednesday, and Wednesday will be dry. The rain does not come in until Wednesday night. If you can't do it then, I still think you have plenty of days to do it as we go through the weekend, but temperatures will just be colder. We'll be in the 30s at that point, but I do think we'll see a dry stretch before a chance of some rain and snow as we approach the day before Thanksgiving. That's a big travel day, of course, so already I am eyeing the weather for that extremely closely just to keep everyone in the loop and up to date.
Loving that stretch of sunny days, though.
Yeah, a beautiful stretch of sunny days. So we'll watch it. We'll watch it. Hopefully we all get to enjoy it.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris.
My pleasure.
Stay with us for the morning sprint up next.
It's 6:51, time for the morning sprint as our First Alert team gets you out the door with everything you need to know on your Monday.
We begin with breaking news this morning out of California, where at least 4 people are dead after a mass shooting at a football viewing party. Police say friends and family were in the backyard of a home in Fresno watching a game when an unknown suspect snuck in and fired into the crowd. At least 10 people were shot, but no one has been arrested so far.
In Rock County, police are still looking for at least one suspect after a fatal shooting that killed a 34-year-old man. Police say he was shot and killed less than 2 miles north of Beloit College just before 4 a.m. Saturday. This is the city's second murder in less than a month.
The Rock County Board is revisiting the idea of having armed security guards at the courthouse. The Janesville Gazette reports, for the most part, county leaders say arming security guards is the right move. The Rock County Sheriff says adding armed guards to the recent security upgrades at the courthouse would be another important step forward. The board's General Services Committee tabled the idea back in February.
A local teen with 9 open cases in the court system is due in court tomorrow. 17-year-old DeMonte Tillman is facing counts of theft, burglary, criminal damage to property, hit and run, bail jumping, and stealing a car. He managed to get out of jail on a signature bond every time he was arrested, up until his most recent arrest 2 weeks ago. His preliminary hearing is set for 9 tomorrow morning.
Weather's quiet for us as we begin to head out the door this morning. You are not facing any rain or snow, but there will certainly be some cloud cover as we go throughout the state of Wisconsin. Temperature-wise, we are waking up with most areas into the low and mid-30s. 34 is our temperature in Madison right now. Janesville also at 34. You work your way back towards Mineral Point. We are at 32. Plan the day with the expectation of cloud cover. We might see at least a peak of sunshine or two. We'll also top out around 39 this afternoon.
The lower the temperatures get, the higher your heating bill may become, and that's why small adjustments can make a really big difference. First, set your thermostat at 68 degrees when you're home, 55 when you're away. That might sound a little chilly, but it will bring you big savings. Experts at Madison Gas and Electric say when you lower your thermostat by just 1 degree, you save 1%. They also said the average heating bill last year was about $450 for the area. That's, of course, if you use natural gas. It can be much higher if you're heating your home with electricity. Also, avoid using space heaters and instead use an electric blanket. For more simple tips, you can go to our website. Josh?
Keely, thank you. In Venice, Italy today, citizens are dealing with another round of record-setting floods. High levels of water are filling squares and historic buildings. This is the 3rd time in the past week where floodwaters have consumed that city. Officials say at least 70% of Venice is underwater right now, and other parts of Italy, including Florence and Pisa, are also suffering from high water levels.
Dane County is now part of the County Climate Coalition, reaffirming the city's commitment to the Paris Climate Agreement. As part of the coalition, the county will work at reducing its greenhouse gas emissions. This comes just a month after Governor Evers created a task force to focus on climate change across the state.
The House impeachment inquiry continues this week with more public hearings scheduled for tomorrow. 8 witnesses, including EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland, are set to appear over 3 days. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says there could be more witness interviews next week during the week of Thanksgiving, and another round of hearings could come after that before the House votes on whether to impeach. Meanwhile, President Trump is tweeting this morning saying the Republican Party has never been so united as it is now.
New this morning, House Republicans are asking Ron Johnson reluctantly for any first-hand information he may have that's relevant to the ongoing inquiry. Senator Johnson returned to meet the press just a few weeks after arguing with host Chuck Todd on that same program. In this weekend's interview, Senator Johnson suggested the whistleblower complaint is causing harm and that he's sympathetic with President Trump, arguing the president has been, quote, tormented since his election.
President Trump's visit to Walter Reed Hospital is raising some questions this morning. The president went to the military medical center without notifying staff ahead of time, which is not protocol. The White House says President Trump is in good health and that it was a routine checkup as part of his annual physical. However, the president already had a physical earlier this year. A private group backing President Trump's border wall is kicking off a new project on the U.S.-Mexico border. The group We Build a Wall is building on private land in the Rio Grande Valley region in Texas, a strategy that shields it from government intervention. Now, this is an attempt to showcase its barrier designs and earn support for the president's signature issue.
A breaking update now. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says he will not grant President Trump another meeting unless North Korea gets something substantial in return. This comes as the U.S. and South Korea are postponing joint military drills planned for later this month. The U.S. Defense Secretary calls it an act of goodwill toward North Korea.
Violent pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong have shifted to one of the city's college campuses. Demonstrators squared off with police at Hong Kong's Polytechnic University over the weekend. On Sunday, officers stormed the school's grounds and were pelted with rocks and Molotov cocktails. Now, officials there responded by firing tear gas at the crowd and said they may use deadly force to end future protests.
Madison school leaders want to know what you think about adding a new elementary to the district. They're talking about asking taxpayers to fund that new elementary, along with renovations to the 4 main high schools in an upcoming referendum. That referendum would add $400 in property taxes to the average homeowner. The $25 million project would build that new school in the Rimrock neighborhood.
6:57 now. Let's turn over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Hi, Josh.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Brake lights already showing up on the westbound side of the Beltline, starting at the interstate exit ramp and continuing until West Broadway. It's going to add at least 5 minutes to your drive. Inbound side of John Nolan starting to tap the brakes at Rimrock and then again at Olin Avenue, making your way into the downtown area. And other main routes heading into the city, they're moving at the usual speeds with no major issues. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Josh, thank you.
And I do want to take a moment to show you your pet walk. Maverick in Madison. What a beautiful fall-like picture there. As we go through this day, we will remain mostly cloudy. Temperatures will be in the 30s, but upper 30s for those highs. I think we should top out right around 39.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris.
My
and thanks
pleasure.
for joining us this morning, folks. Take some time for your family. Enjoy your Monday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.